So, I've always been really frustrated by the absolute lack of sex and relationship education that I've had in my time at school. It's nearly over and I have learned nothing, basically. You know the whole banana on a condom rite of passage that graces teen novels and pop culture sort of the world round? Yeah, I never got that. Really disappointed. It looks really funny. But all, penises don't look like bananas. Anyway, this doesn't actually come as a surprise when you take into account that in Britain, schools aren't actually required to teach sex and relationship education at all. They're required to have a policy on it, but their policy doesn't necessarily mean that they have to teach it. This was definitely the case at my school. We had sporadic, random lessons on citizenship and things like that. This was only up until year 9, and then they sort of got fed up of us. They sometimes did assemblies, and I remember hearing that those assemblies were to get out of teaching us the lessons. And as a result of this, 1 in 4 of secondary school pupils in Britain get no sex and relationship education at all. Another 26% of young people who do get this sex and relationship education, the lucky ones, complain that their teachers weren't able to teach it well. And this means that about half of young people in this country aren't getting a decent sex and relationship education. Why is this a problem? Well, growing up in a home county secondary school, if I didn't know any better, I'd have grown up thinking, and as many children do, that the only type of sex out there was A, really scary, painful and dangerous, B, not for the enjoyment or pleasure of any parties involved at all, C, between males and females only, D, between able-bodied people only, and E, missionary position, lie back and think of England type of style. The last point that I learned was that you will get chlamydia and die. No one ever mentioned the fact that sex isn't just about procreation. No one mentioned how great it can be when it's consensual and mutually respectful. No one mentioned that, hey, having vaginal sex isn't the only way. And, virginity is a social construct that is made to serve the already virulent notion of female purity, and no one mentioned that it's subjective to the person and acts that make up your sexual debut, as I now prefer to call it. Only mentioned, advice on sex and relationships isn't something that you just stop learning when you leave school. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of trial and error about it, and that's completely natural. But this is not helped by the complete erasure of any type of sex that isn't considered the social norm. It's also definitely hindered by the avoidance of any advice given to young people or adults that advocates exploring their own bodies and sexualities. Of course, most young people don't need help figuring out certain things. For example, porn and media with heavy sexual content is readily accessible. You can't deny that. Whether you like it or not, it actually forms 13% of young people's only source of information on sex at all. Opinions on the pros and cons of pornography aside, that's a whole other can of worms and stuff. It's obvious that the information people get from it is, unreliable and limited regarding a balanced education on sex and relationships. Schools in general, in my experience, seem to promote constant vigilance against STIs. I'll give them that, that's quite good. Even that's limited. I remember learning a lot about chlamydia and very little else. The focus, however, needs to be on more than just sexual health, which seems to be the extent that they want to talk to us about. It should be on emotional health. It should be inclusive to all sexualities and genders and types of sex, and it should set up young people for a sex life that's less trial and awkward error and potential damaging mistakes, and more safe, unpressured choices that mean that they can enjoy it, and hopefully, through this, encourage the respect of other people's choices that are different to their own. So, you can help smash these ridiculous old-fashioned taboos in education in this little link down here to Brook, which is an organisation that promotes positive sex education, and they have a lovely petition that you can totally sign. That'd be awesome. I've also linked to some cool Tumblrs and different websites that have what I think are really good, balanced, all-round information on everything that you ever will need to know. Keep it secret, keep it safe. You don't have to keep it secret, but do keep it safe. Lord of the Rings doesn't always work in these situations. Okay, bye!